Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Making Plans Conversation Cheat Sheet. With this brand new cheat sheet, you'll be able to make plans in your target language and learn useful phrases like, when are we meeting? Would you like to join? And more. Second, the Talking About Family Writing Workbook. With this printable PDF, you'll learn all the must-know words and phrases for family, and you'll be able to practice writing the phrases out as well. Download it for free right now. Third, can you talk about space in your target language? Learn how to say star, sun, planet, and more with this quick vocab bonus. Fourth, must-know words for energy production. Learn how to say solar power, battery, windmill, and much more with this 1-minute vocabulary lesson. Fifth, the 20 phrases for daily routines. If you can't talk about your day yet, this 1-minute lesson will get you speaking. You'll learn the must-know phrases, from talking about waking up and brushing your teeth to dinner and going to sleep. Sixth, free language learning audiobooks. Want free access to our huge library of beginner-level audiobooks? Then click the link below. Save the audiobooks to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 35% off Premium or Premium Plus with the Power Up sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about expressions to use for talking about music and musicians. Let's get started. On this side of the board, I have a list of some patterns that you can use for positive opinions and just sharing your positive statements. Let's begin with talking about your favorites. So, a way to express your favorite band or your favorite musician, your favorite artist, whatever, is this pattern. Musician is my favorite. I also have are here. We use is for a single person here, like Beyonce or Lady Gaga. But if your musician or band is a plural noun, so for example, the Rolling Stones, that ends in an S here, this is a plural noun, we need to use are. So this follows the same rules of grammar as English. So yes, even though it's a musician or like it's a band name, we still need to follow the rules of grammar, the grammar rules here. So is and are, these need to match your subject. So Lady Gaga is my favorite is correct. So this is one person, one individual. The title is also one person. Here, however, the Rolling Stones are my favorite. The Rolling Stones are my favorite. So you can think of this as like the plural form. Yes, it's one group, but we say the Rolling Stones are my favorite. The Rolling Stones is my favorite band is okay, because is my favorite band. Band is at the end of that sentence. So the Rolling Stones is my favorite band. That's okay, because band there is singular. The Rolling Stones are my favorite though. So we can imagine like the members of the Rolling Stones too, if that's helpful for you. So please be careful. Make sure your subject matches your verb here. So single person, one name, is a group of people, plural form, are. Okay, so let's continue to the next pattern, which is also very simple. I like musician or band, or I love musician or band. The difference here is just your level. Like is maybe here, love is here. So I love Beyonce, or I love Lady Gaga. I love the Rolling Stones. You can use whatever you prefer here. You don't need to worry about singular or plurals with this pattern. Very simply, I like or I love plus your artist name or your band name. You can also use this pattern, like or love, with a genre. So a genre for music is a category or a type, and that means for music, it's like pop or rock music, classical music, rap, country, and so on. Those are categories of music. So you can use this pattern to explain your favorite category, your favorite genre of music. For example, I like rock, or I love pop music. or I like classical, or I like rap. So you can use like or love to talk about your favorite artists or to talk about your favorite genre. Genre is the pronunciation of this word. Okay, so let's move on then to a sample conversation talking about a musician or a band's new work. For example, have you heard musician's new song or new track? We use these two words in the same way to refer to one song or one track. One track is also okay. Single or album, these are a little bit different. A single is one song, a single song that is released alone, usually before a full album. It's like one song, like the highlight song from the album. We call that the single or a single. An album is a collection of songs, so like maybe 10 songs or 12 songs from that artist on one CD or in one release. So, have you heard musician's new song? Have you heard musician's new track? Let's use Beyoncé here, it's easy. Have you heard Beyoncé's new song? To reply to this, you can say yes or no, because this is a have you heard, meaning before this conversation, at any point in the past, do you have the experience of hearing Beyoncé's new song? So, yeah, I love it. You don't have to say, yes, I have, I love it. That's kind of unnatural. Just say, yeah, or yes, I love it. Or, yeah, I like it. Or, yeah, I really like it. Or, yeah, I've heard it so many times, maybe in the radio or in stores, or rather, sorry, on the radio or in stores when you're shopping, for example. Yeah, I've heard it so many times. If you've heard this song and you're sort of tired of it, you can use this expression, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, yeah, I've heard it so many times. I'm sick of it. If it's a new song like that's super popular, you might feel this way. Or, yeah, it's okay. So that's very neutral. It's like, I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. Yeah, it's okay. Or, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Or just no as well. So have you heard Beyoncé's new song? No, I haven't, but I hear it's good. I hear it's good. So using present tense here means right now, maybe I've heard in the past from many different people it's good. So we use present tense to mean at this point in time, it's common for me to hear from many different people that this song is good. You can use I heard it's good to mean like, for example, one report, according to one report, it was a good song. It's up to you. Both hear and heard are correct here. So you can use this for a song or for an album. Have you heard Beyoncé's new album? No, I haven't yet. I heard it's good though. So that's a very natural conversation. Have you heard Beyoncé's new album? Yeah, I love it. Or have you heard Beyoncé's new album? Yeah, it's okay. So there are many different responses you can use, and you can change these words at the end of these patterns to more accurately reflect your feelings. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's pretty good. Those are all perfectly natural responses. Okay, let's move on then to a pattern you can use to talk positively and excitedly about concerts. So please keep in mind in English we use the word concert. We do not say live. We do not specifically say like live performance when we're talking about a concert. I'll show one example where we do use the word live in just a moment. But to talk about going to see a concert, we use a pattern like this. I'm going to the musician concert. I'm going to the musician concert. So why do we use the here? Because this the connects to the verb concert. So there's maybe only one concert by this musician in your city. So we use the before this to mean that one concert. There's only one. So I'm going to that one that many people know about. For example, here. I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert. So the concert, there's only one. I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert that's happening tonight. So we use the before Justin Timberlake, yes, because the actually connects to concert here. So I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert. Some other patterns you may hear are I'm going to see Justin Timberlake's concert is also okay. I'm going to see Justin Timberlake's concert, or just I'm going to see Justin Timberlake tonight. And we understand that it's a concert because probably we don't meet these famous people in our everyday lives for most people. So generally, you'll hear a pattern like this one. Then, after the concert, you can talk about the performance with something like this. Musician was amazing, or band was amazing. This is using past tense. So for example, if you go to a Justin Timberlake concert, you might say Justin Timberlake was amazing. So was amazing refers to the concert you saw, maybe last night or a few hours ago. Justin Timberlake was amazing. Please keep in mind, for a pattern like this, we need to follow the same rule I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson about this subject and verb agreement. So was, this is great for a single person like Lady Gaga or Justin Timberlake. If, however, it's a group like the Rolling Stones, again, the Rolling Stones were amazing. The Rolling Stones were amazing. So make sure if you have a plural noun, as in the Rolling Stones here, the Rolling Stones were amazing. If you want to talk generally about an artist's performances, maybe not a specific performance, but generally, you can use a pattern like this. You'll notice here I'm using present tense. For example, Justin Timberlake is amazing live. Justin Timberlake is amazing live. This is one situation where we use the word live to talk about performances, which means Justin Timberlake's live performances are amazing. This is another way we say that. Justin Timberlake is amazing live, or Lady Gaga is amazing live. We use is present tense to mean regularly her performances or his performances are always very good. So we use present tense to describe that. Lady Gaga is amazing live. So instead of just Lady Gaga is amazing, which means I really like her music, you can specifically say live to refer to those concerts, to refer to live performances. Okay. Let's move on then to a couple expressions you can use to maybe make some negative statements about music, how to talk about the things you don't like very much or that you don't listen to. For example, I don't really like or I don't really listen to. This is a bit different. So I've included really because it's sort of a softener. You can say, I don't like musician or I don't like that band. You can use that. Really softens things a little bit. It's not quite so direct. So here my verb is like. I don't really like Justin Timberlake. I don't really like Lady Gaga. That's how a native speaker would say it. Instead of I don't really like, it sounds like I don't really like. I don't really like Lady Gaga. Or I don't really like the Rolling Stones. If you want to be more specific though and say you don't really listen to that band or that musician, you can do that. So maybe they're okay, but you don't really listen to, which means you don't often listen to. Often, using often here would sound a little too polite. We tend to use really in cases like these, in casual conversations. So I don't really listen to Lady Gaga, or I don't really listen to Justin Timberlake. He seems okay, but I don't really listen to him. You can use listen to be more specific. Like maybe he's okay, maybe it's okay, but you don't listen to it very much. That's a good pattern. I don't really listen to Lady Gaga. You can also use a genre here, as we talked about earlier in this lesson, pop, rock, classical, and so on. I don't really listen to rock. I don't really listen to hip hop. You can use that as well. Here are a couple of patterns that you can think about to kind of make some more specific statements about your opinions. For example, I don't really like pop music, so I don't listen to Lady Gaga. At native speed, this would sound like, I don't really like pop music, so I don't listen to Lady Gaga. So here we're connecting these ideas with so. Idea one, I don't really like pop music. Idea 2, I don't listen to Lady Gaga. We've connected it with so to show a relationship between these two. One more example. I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. So the Foo Fighters is a rock band. But here, the speaker says, I don't really listen to rock. So maybe they want to be specific. There's this one group, this one band that's pretty good. That's okay. So at native speed, this would sound like, I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. So if you want to show like kind of a contrast, you can use but to connect your ideas. I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. Another thing to be careful of is this one that I've marked here. The expression I hate is quite strong, so I would not recommend using it too much in conversation unless it's like a very casual conversation and you feel comfortable being very direct with the person you're speaking to. For example, I hate country or I hate rap. These are genres. I've used a genre here. I hate country or I hate rap. That's very aggressive for some people. So please use this expression very carefully. If you're not sure, use something like this. Nah, I don't really like country or I don't really like rap. So instead of using I hate is quite strong in any situation. So please be careful about this. So these are a few expressions that you can use to talk about music and musicians that you like and dislike. I hope that it was helpful for you. Please feel free to use these and put some information in the comment section about musicians you like, genres you like and dislike too. Of course, if you have any questions or other comments, please feel free to leave those in the comment section as well. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about expressions you can use at the bank. These will be bank and banking related expressions that you can use in everyday life. Let's get started. Okay. The first pair here are related to putting money in and taking money out of a bank account. The first expression is to make a deposit, to make a deposit. The second expression is to make a withdrawal, to make a withdrawal. So a deposit, this refers to putting money into your bank account. So to make a deposit means to put money into your bank account. To make a withdrawal is the opposite. To make a withdrawal means to take money out of your bank account. So the verb we could use here is to withdraw money. So to withdraw means to remove something from one place and take it out of that place. In this case, your money, to withdraw your money from your account. We commonly use to make with both of these. To make a deposit, to make a withdrawal. Another important point, especially about this deposit one, is you may sometimes hear the expression direct deposit used when talking about banking or when talking about your payments from your work, from your job. So in some cases, in some countries and banking systems, you can use what's called direct deposit, which means you fill out a form, I'll show an example sentence in a moment, so that your employer, the place where you work, directly, so like right away, sends your money as a deposit to your bank account. So a direct deposit of your money into your bank account. So this system is called direct deposit. Your money goes directly to your bank account. So let's look at some examples that use these two. First, I'd like to make a deposit, please. I'd like to make a deposit, please. This is something you can use when you speak to staff at the bank. Remember I'd, so not I like, but I'd like. To make a deposit, please. So in the US, we use checks. So sometimes you can bring a check to a bank teller. The word for staff is teller. So the person who works at the bank is called a bank teller. I'd like to make a deposit, please, with a check, or you can use cash as well. So to make a deposit. Also, as I mentioned, this direct deposit system, you might use an expression like, I signed up for direct deposit. I signed up for direct deposit. In this case, it's past tense. So depending on your situation, you may use some forms provided by your company, like your company or the place where you work may give you a form to sign up for direct deposit. There may be some cases where you need to speak about direct deposit with the staff at your bank. So you might use a phrase like this, I signed up for direct deposit. Let's look at then using withdrawal. Here, can I make a withdrawal, please? Can I make a withdrawal, please? So this is phrased as a question, yes, but you can use I'd like to make a withdrawal. So I'd like to take money out of my bank account. I'd like to make a withdrawal. So the pronunciation here, with, is the same as with, like do something with someone. This part is a little bit of a challenge maybe. So we don't clearly pronounce draw wow like that. We say withdraw. Withdrawal. Withdrawal is how we say this word. Make a withdrawal. Can I make a withdrawal, please? Is how it sounds in native speed. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one is to apply for a loan, to apply for a loan. If you want to start a business or maybe you want to buy something really big and you need some money from the bank, you do this, to apply for a loan. So to apply means you go to the bank, you fill out some forms, you share your information, how much money you have a meeting usually with the person at the bank to see if you can receive a loan. So a loan is money from your bank, yes, and you are expected, you have to pay that money back to the bank. So you receive the loan for your business or for the thing you would like to buy, and you pay the money back to the bank, usually with interest. So interest is extra money that you give back for the reason of receiving the loan. So the bank agrees to give you money and the bank expects to receive it back with a little extra. That extra is called interest. So to apply for a loan. For example, I applied for a loan yesterday. So here we see apply in past tense. I applied for a loan yesterday. Applied for a loan yesterday. Okay, let's move to the next expression, to check one's balance. So this could be my balance or your balance. To check one's balance. Balance means the amount of money in your bank account. So we don't say like the total, for example. We use the word balance. This is specific for banking. To check my balance or to check your balance means to check how much money is in your account. That number is called your balance, to check my balance. So my balance is $1,000 or my balance is $500. That means the total amount of money in my account. To use this expression in a sentence then, I haven't checked my balance recently. I haven't checked my balance recently. This means recently, in the last few days or maybe week or so, I have not looked at the total amount of money in my bank account. I haven't checked my balance recently. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. The next one is an unfortunate one. This is a problem that may happen. It is to bounce a check or to bounce a payment. To bounce a check or to bounce a payment. This is a very strange verb, I know. Maybe you know bounce, like to bounce a ball. This, however, means your check or your payment did not complete because you did not have enough money in your bank account. Your balance was not enough. So to bounce a check means you wrote a check, at least in the US banking system. You wrote a check, gave the check to someone. That person decided to make a deposit with your check, but it failed because your check was connected to a bank account that did not have enough money. Same thing with a payment, like you pay rent or you pay for something, but the payment bounces or the payment bounced because you don't have enough money in your bank account. So this is a common problem that some people have. So, for example, oh no, My rent payment bounced. Oh no, my rent payment bounced. That means the payment was supposed to come from my account, but my account did not have enough money, so the payment failed. That's called a bounced payment. A bounced payment. My payment bounced. So this is the verb that we use for bounced payments, so for like failed payments or for failed checks. Okay, let's continue on to the next one. The next one, this is important, I think, for many people to know the difference between. The verb is to use, yes, but we can use to use a debit card or to use a credit card, to use a debit card or a credit card. So what is the difference between a debit card and a credit card? Over here, a quick guide. A credit card is used to buy something now, yes, and you pay for it later with interest. So again, as we talked about with loans, interest means extra money. In this case, extra money to your bank or to your credit card company. This is kind of like a small loan. So for example, you can purchase something for $100 now. I use my credit card, and then next month, I need to pay $100 to my bank for that cost. So maybe if I don't have $100 at the moment I want to buy something, a credit card is useful, and then I can pay it later. So you can find a lot of different kinds of credit cards with different kinds of payment schedules and different interest levels. So maybe you can pay your credit card right away and there's no interest, or maybe you have interest to worry about too. So a credit card means you can buy something now and pay for it later with your actual money you have. A debit card, however, means you pay now for something, and a debit card is connected to your bank account, directly connected to your balance. So if I want to buy something that costs $100, I use my debit card, and $100 comes from my bank account directly to pay for that. So a credit card means buy now, pay later. A debit card means I buy now and I pay now directly from my account. So there are different strategies people use. But we use the same verb, to use a debit card or to use a credit card. Both are fine. For example, I'd like to use a credit card, please. So you can use either here. I'd like to use a debit card, please. Both are fine. Okay, let's go to the very last one for this lesson. The last one is, for most people, I think, a very positive thing. It is to pay off debt, to pay off debt. So this is an important point here, this off. To pay debt is not quite what we want here. To pay off debt. So first, what is debt? Debt is money you owe to someone, money you owe to a bank, money you owe on a credit card. You have to pay this money. So to pay off debt means to be free of debt. So you pay everything. For example, you pay off a credit card. That means you pay all the money you have to pay to complete payments on that credit card. So to pay off debt is a good thing. That means you have no debt. To pay off debt. So we must use this off here, to pay off something. You might also hear this used with large objects, like to pay off a car or to pay off a house. That means you finish paying for the loans required to buy that item, to pay off debt. So debt is any type of loan, any type of kind of credit card related thing. So debt is typically not a good thing to have. So we are usually very happy to pay off debt. For example, I finally paid off my debt this month. So here, past tense, to pay becomes paid. I finally paid off my debt this month. So again, that means all of my debt is gone. I'm finished paying off my debt. I'm finished paying for these other things. Okay, so this is a list of hopefully useful expressions that are related to the bank and that you can use at the bank. I hope that they were helpful for you. Of course, if there are any other expressions that you know, please be sure to share them in the comments. Also, if you have any questions or if you want to practice making sentences with some of these expressions, please feel free to do so in the comment section as well. Don't forget to like and share the video and also subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Don't forget to check us out at EnglishClass101.com for more study resources. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to cover 3 basic interview questions and some sample responses. So these are going to be 3 very common things that you hear at interviews for jobs and at interviews for schools or other universities. I'm going to break down what these questions mean and then show some sample responses that you can use as you create your own answers. So let's get started. The first question, or the first statement that I want to look at is this one that's very common. Tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me a bit about yourself. You may hear, tell me about yourself too. If your interviewer is one person, it'll be me, but it could be tell us about yourself for a group of people. So what should you do when you hear this question or when you hear this statement? Inside your answer, some good things to include are answers to these questions. Where are you from? So your hometown. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And so on. Where did you go to school? Generally, at least in American institutions, in American businesses, we don't usually include high school or below. Usually we include university, college or university, and above. So that could be your undergraduate, your first 4 years of university, and then your graduate studies. So if you have a master's degree or a PhD or something else, you can include that here. But generally, we don't talk so much about high school and earlier. So where did you go to school? What did you study? So again, this means what was your major in university? And maybe what was your secondary concentration in university? So again, we don't really say like, I studied math in high school, but rather focus on your studies, your specific focus studies at university level. Okay. Other things, what degrees do you have? So what degree or what degrees do you have? Do you have a bachelor's degree? Is it a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science? Do you have a master's degree? Do you have a PhD? If you don't have a degree, maybe you have a certification. So what school or what place did you go to receive your certification? So those sorts of things, your education, you can include here. What work or internship experience do you have? So quickly give a little bit of information about the places where you worked or the places where you did internships. So if you are just beginning to search for work, if you are fresh from university, maybe you have some internship experience. If you don't have job experience that's at like a professional level, like if you are a university student looking for a job and you don't have professional work experience, but you have some part-time job experience, that's okay to include here. So if you are just looking for maybe like your first job out of university and you have something that's related to that job, like from your past part-time work experience, you can include that. That's okay. All right, finally then, what are your interests? So that means like your professional interests or your study interests. What do you want to do? Some people also like to mention a hobby here. It kind of depends on the interview. In some cases, people are very happy to share about like, yoga or a specific sport that they like to do. But in other cases, if it's a very formal, like kind of stiff interview, it might not be such a good idea to do that. You might focus instead on your work and your study experience. So let's look at an example of how we might answer this. So let's look at part 1 here. I was born in New York City. I moved to Boston with my family when I was little. So here's where I'm from. This is not true, but this is where I'm from and where I grew up. So here I say, that's where I grew up and went to school. So this first part talks about the place where I'm from, the place where I grew up, and where I attended school. After graduating high school, I went to UCLA, where I studied computer science. I did an internship with a tech company and am interested in a job with a tech startup. Okay, so there are a lot of just small hints that give lots of information here. I said after graduating high school, so this brief part shows the speaker has finished high school. I went to UCLA. So UCLA, this is the name or the abbreviation for a university in Los Angeles. University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where I studied computer science. So the speaker studied computer science at UCLA. Then the speaker did an internship with a tech company. So there's work experience and internship experience. And am interested in a job with a tech startup. So this is the speaker's interest. So in just a few sentences, the speaker has shared a lot of information about where he or she is from, what they're interested in, their educational experience, and their work experience. So there's lots of good information here in just a few sentences. Following this then, you might hear a question like this one. Why do you want to work at this company? Or why do you want to study or attend this school? So you will be asked to give a reason why. So what attracted you or what attracts you to this place specifically? Why did you apply here? Also, what are your goals and how do they match the company's goals or the school's goals? So think again, from the company's point of view, why should they choose you? So why do you think you are a good choice? So not just you, like I want money or I want to work at a famous company, but why does the company need to look at you specifically? Are you a good match together? So let's look at an example of how we might answer this question. First, I'm interested in ABC Tech Company because it's a startup, so specific information about this company. I understand there are a lot of challenges when working at a startup, but I feel I would gain a lot of hands-on experience by working here. I'm interested in the applications the company is developing. They're similar to what I worked on during my internship. Okay, so this is not like a direct answer of each of these things, but it's all kind of mixed together. So the speaker said, I'm interested because it's a startup company, a tech startup company. So that's what attracted the speaker here. Then the speaker includes this line here. I included this because it's good to show that you understand the specific parts of like working in a company. So not just that you're like applying to 10 companies and saying the same thing every time, but you need to show that you've done some research for that specific company. So a line like this, a sentence like this, shows that you understand there are challenges with working at a startup, but you think that's a good match for you. So in this case, because you can get lots of hands-on experience. So hands-on experience means actually doing things yourself, gaining experience by doing things yourself. So sometimes literally hands-on, so doing things with your hands. Finally then, I'm interested in the applications the company is developing. So that's, again, specific to this company. The speaker is interested in something this company specifically is doing, and the speaker says they're similar to what I worked on during my internship. So the speaker is saying, I have experience with the thing that you are creating now. So this is a reason I am a good choice for your company. So again, just a sample for how you can answer these kinds of questions. So think about what attracts you to the company and show that you did some research. Then talk a little bit about your goals and your interests, in this case, like application development. And do they match the company? So in this case, again, application development matches. Then third, why are you a good choice? So if you can explain those sorts of things in response to a question like this, it's a good idea. Finally then, this is another very common interview question. It is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself? So this doesn't literally mean see yourself. So this means 5 years in the future. What do you imagine your life will be like? Or what do you imagine for your future in 5 years? So this question is really asking, what are your goals for the next 5 years? What do you want to achieve? And hopefully, do they match with the company's goals for the next 5 years? So what are your goals for the next 5 years, and how will you help the company or the school in the next 5 years? So if you say, I see myself rich and living on a beach, it's probably not a good answer. So you need to talk about how you personally plan to grow and change, and how you will contribute to the company or to your school. So for example, in 5 years, I see myself leading my own project. I aim to work as part of a team to reach the company's current goals, then propose some new ideas to implement. So the speaker is saying, in 5 years, I want to lead my own project. So after we finish something successfully, the current goal successfully, I want to propose some new ideas. So the speaker is kind of promising here, I have some new ideas, or I think I will have some new ideas that we can use in this company. And I see myself, I imagine myself leading that project or leading a new project. So they have this kind of image of a leadership role for themselves. So this again is just a sample way to answer this question. Of course, for each person, this will be different, but it's generally a good idea to think about where you see yourself in the next 5 years and prepare an answer for each interview that you attend. So these are 3 very basic but very common interview questions, the meaning of each question, and a few ideas for how you might answer them. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Of course, there are many more interview questions, and there are many different styles of interview in English for schools and for businesses, but this is a good base, I think. So if you have any questions or any comments, or if you want to practice making some text to answer these questions for yourself, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about 3 uses of get. Let's begin. Okay, the first meaning I want to talk about is the basic meaning of the verb get, which is just to receive something. So we use get to refer to buying something at a store, for example, or receiving something from someone, or receiving something from something else. So we use get in this way to show transfer of ownership of something. For example, I got a new job. I got a new job. Here, got is used, the past tense of get. So I got a new job. You'll notice in these sentences, these example sentences, we follow get or got, whatever verb form it is, with some noun phrase. So let's take a look at the next one. He needs to get a haircut. He needs to get a haircut. Here, my noun is a haircut. He needs to get. So you can imagine this is like he needs to receive a haircut. So this haircut, it's like a service kind of too. So we can use it for services as well. Next example, we're thinking about getting a dog. We're thinking about getting a dog. So in this sentence, you can imagine getting is like a replacement for buying. So we're thinking about buying a dog, but maybe you don't want to buy the dog. Maybe you're going to adopt the dog from somewhere, or a neighbor's dog had puppies and you want to take one. So we're thinking about getting a dog, So we use getting here because this makes a noun form. This ing here creates a noun
from a verb. So getting a dog is actually a noun phrase. So the act of receiving a dog. Okay, our final example here. She's never gotten a bad test score. She's never gotten a bad test score. Gotten is the past participle form of get. So this means she's never received a bad test score, essentially. But we use this to sound a little more conversational, a little bit more light. Okay, so let's compare this then to the second use of get for this lesson. We can use get before an adjective, and when we do this, get means become. So this sounds much less formal than become. A lot of learners use become in everyday conversations, and it sounds very unnatural. We use get most of the time to talk about a change in status or a change in condition. Let's look at some examples. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So this means it's becoming hot in here. We do not say becoming. It sounds way too formal, very stiff. This is much more casual. A native speaker would say, it's getting hot in here. That's what we would say if it's hot or maybe cold too. It's getting cold in here. So we use the progressive form or the continuous form to show that something is happening now. So it's getting hot in here. Next, wow, you got tall. Wow, you got tall. This is an expression we use a lot with kids we have not seen for a long time. So you maybe see a family member one time a year. From the last time you saw this kid, the child has grown. You could say, wow, you got tall. In other words, wow, you became tall. But again, become or became here in past tense is way too stiff. So we use got instead. Wow, you got tall. So this is useful when talking about changes in physical appearance too. Okay, the next one. Your lunch is gonna get cold. Your lunch is gonna get cold. So again, we can simply replace get with become, and the meaning of the sentence remains the same. But we do not use become in everyday conversation here. Your lunch is gonna become cold doesn't show a communication problem or doesn't have a communication problem, but it sounds very unnatural. Instead, please use your lunch is gonna get cold. So your lunch is gonna get cold. This gonna means going to. Your lunch is going to become cold in temperature is what this means. So please eat your lunch. Okay, the last example from this section, he's going to get angry when he hears the bad news. He's going to get angry. So again, we're using get here, become angry, and this is a future tense situation or future tense statement. The speaker is making a guess about this person's attitude in the future. He's going to get angry when he hears the bad news. So again, all of these examples use get or some form of the verb get before an adjective, hot, tall, cold, angry, and so on. So we can use it directly before an adjective to mean become. This sounds much more natural than become in everyday conversation. So please try to use get, not become. Okay, with that, let's go to the last part of today's lesson. The last part focuses on using get instead of be in passive patterns. So we do this to express something that was unexpected. So sometimes it can be kind of negative, or maybe it's like a shock, but generally the feeling is that something unexpected happened, or maybe it was an accident. So we use get instead of be with action verbs in the passive. So we don't use it with state verbs. So for example, know or think. We don't use it with state or emotion-related verbs. We use it with action-related verbs. Let's look at some examples. My snack got eaten by a dog. My snack got eaten by a dog. So here, we could say my snack was eaten by a dog, and that would also be correct. we're using past got eaten to show, like with more emphasis, this was unexpected. So I had a snack. Maybe I had my snack here and a dog ate it. So I want to show that it was unexpected or something negative happened. I replace was in the regular passive pattern with got. My snack got eaten by a dog. Okay, let's look at another example. His article got picked up by a big news site. His article got picked up by a big news site. So picked up means, in this case, the big news site found his article, took it, and put it on their website. So to pick up information like that is like it was shared by, in this case, a big news site. So we're using got, again, in past tense here to show that this situation was unexpected. This was like not something planned. So it's exciting in this case. It's a surprise. We're showing that with got. Again, you could say his article was picked up. That's perfectly fine. It just doesn't have the same feeling of surprise or lack of expectation. The third example, her house got damaged in the storm. Her house got damaged in the storm. So this use of got, again, shows us that something was not expected. Maybe a really big accident happened in the storm. As a result, her house got damaged. Okay, so let's talk about some common idioms that use get. These are just set phrases that we use with get plus something. So try to remember these as like set patterns. So don't change these when you use them in speech. First is get married, to get married. This is a very common one. So we use it at the point in time at the wedding ceremony, like my friend got married last week, or I'm excited to get married this summer. We use get married as a set phrase. Sometimes I hear students say like got marriage, which is not correct. We must use get married, get married. Another very common one is get dressed. To get dressed means to put on your clothes, to get dressed. So we don't say like to get a shirt on or something like that. We use get dressed to mean like prepare ourselves and prepare our clothes on our body for the day. To get dressed. We use that as an idiom. Another good one is to get lost, to get lost. So you can imagine this expression meaning become lost, like point number 2 here for today. So to get lost means you lose the place you're trying to go to get lost. There's also kind of a mean or an aggressive expression we have, which is get lost, which is a rude way to say go away or like lose yourself far from me, get lost. So that's another idiom we use. 2 more are these 2, which I use this one at the beginning of lots of videos on this channel, to get started. To get started means to begin the process of starting something. Let's get started. So I use this at the beginning of lots of videos to mean let's begin, or let's take the first steps in doing something, in like the next thing we're going to do. Let's get started. So this is an idiom, an idiomatic expression. Similarly is get going, get going. You'll notice here I'm using going. These others have used like the past participle form of the verb. This expression is a set expression, which means leave. Let's get going means let's leave. But we use this casually when we're leaving like a party or some other event. Let's get going. So it sounds kind of a little bit friendly and not so strong. Not like let's go, but let's get going. Like let's take the first steps towards leaving this place. Let's get going. So these are some very common idioms that you will hear with get. All right, so this is an introduction to 3 ways to use get. I hope that you found something that you can use, and I would encourage you to practice point 2 especially. So try to avoid using become a lot because it sounds very unnatural and very strange. Please try to use get instead. All right, so that will do it for this lesson. Of course, if you liked this lesson, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making sentences with the stuff I talked about in this lesson, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, don't forget to check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to cover quick responses to common greetings in American English. Let's get started. Okay, in this lesson, I'm going to cover 4 very common greetings that we use in American English, and I'm going to talk about ways to respond to those things. So these are some great things to just train your responses to. You don't need to think really hard about any of these questions. Just have a few responses that you always use and practice those, and this will help you to sound a little more smooth in your everyday conversations, at the beginning to your conversation anyway. So let's begin. The first greeting is what's up? What's up? So what's up means how are you, or what is happening, or what is going on, what's up with you, what's your news, that sort of thing. This is not a serious question. We do not expect a serious response. The answers to what's up are usually, not much, you, not much, you, or what's up, or how's it going? So you'll notice all of these are questions. These just show you heard the other person, you're just greeting them in the same way. So the actual pace, the actual speed at which this happens is, what's up? Not much, you, not much. That's probably what it's going to sound like. Or with the second one, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? That's very common too, especially among young men. The last example, what's up? Hey, how's it going? That's one I personally use. Hey, how's it going? You return what's up with another question, just to show you are listening, you are greeting the other person. So this is the very, I suppose, basic way to respond to this, but these are also just the most common responses too. So please practice these responses to what's up. I think the next 2, though, are probably the most important responses that you can practice because they're a little bit more open. So these 2 questions are, how are you, and how's it going? How's it going? You'll notice here there's no G at the end of this because we do not say, how is it going when we ask this question. We say, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? There's not really a G sound at the end. And we don't say, how is it going? We say, how's it? How's it? How's it going? How's it going? And here, how are you? Not how are you, but how are you? How are you? So how do we answer these questions? We can answer both of these questions with all of these responses. It just depends on how you feel that day. In most cases, you can just say, yeah, good, you. This one, yeah, good, you. How are you? Yeah, good, you. That's what I use all the time. Or, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good, you. So there's these little pauses here. Not, yeah, good, you, but yeah, good, you. So that sounds a little more natural. Another response, I'm all right. Usually we end it with you. Yeah, I'm all right, or I'm okay, that kind of feel. You could say, not bad. Hey, how's it going? Not bad. Usually some kind of like, oh, sort of thing in the middle there to just to like ease into your answer a little bit. Not bad. That's quite common to do. Another one, pretty good. You? Pretty good. You? Hey, how are you? Pretty good. You? So again, we're returning the question. Just as we did up here, we're returning it to the other person. What is your feeling like today? Okay, if you're not feeling so great, like you're sick or you're sad or there's something going on in your life, you can use these, but be prepared to give some more information maybe. This one, you're maybe safe with this one. Hey, how's it going? Same old, same old. So when you use same old, it means things are the same as they always are for me. Same old stuff, same old job, same old life. So it's nothing special, nothing exciting, just the same thing as always. So we usually use this sort of unimpressed or a little bit of like downward intonation with that. Same old, same old. If you are not feeling well, you can use these. Hey, how's it going? Not so great. Or, hey, how's it going? I'm a bit sick. I'm a bit sick. Or a bit sick is fine. Or I'm a little sick. I'm feeling a little sick. So the other person will probably say something sympathetic, like, oh, I hope you feel better, or oh, what happened? So these are ways to begin a conversation about your condition if you want to talk about it. So in general, though, we use these most of the time. So practice just one or two of these, and you can respond to these questions with the same answer or the same couple of answers every time. It does not need to be a serious question that you consider every time. So, hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Perfect. That's exactly how you should respond, and you can use that with everybody. Same thing with how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's going good. How about you? That's exactly what I say, and that's exactly what lots of other native speakers say too. So just practice a couple of these and try to use them instead of thinking so hard when you hear these questions. Okay, let's finish this lesson with this question. How's your day? How is your day? Or how is your week? How is your week? This how's, again, just like this how's it going, this is how is your day? How is your day? This is a present tense question. So today, what do you think about today? How is your day? You may also hear how was your day? How was your day today? Or how was your week? So sometimes this does sound a little bit like was, like how was your day? It becomes much shorter, but we can kind of understand which question it is based on the context. So if my coworker asks me this question at lunch, I know it's probably a present tense question. If my family member asks me this question late at night, how was your day? How was your day? I can probably guess it's about the past. So just keep in mind these little clues, these little context clues to help you understand, is this a present tense question or is this a past tense question? For the week, how is your week is probably a Tuesday or a Wednesday question. How was your week is probably like a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night question, maybe a Friday night question. So after the week has finished. So how do we answer this? How's your day or how's your week? Just choose a simple adjective answer. How's your day? Good, pretty good. Or busy. How's your day? Busy. I have lots to do. You? So end all of these with you, just as we've done in all of the other examples today. So just choose an adjective and use you. If your day is the opposite of busy, you can use slow. How's your day? Slow. You? So slow means I don't have much happening today, like work is not so busy, or my schedule is pretty open, I'm not doing a lot today. It's slow. Others you can use all right or just okay. Okay is very useful because you can change the feeling with your voice. Like, how's your day? Okay. Or how's your day? Okay. So there's kind of a different feeling with your voice. Just by changing your facial expressions and the sound of your voice, you can create slightly different feelings just with okay. You can do that a little bit with good and all right, I suppose, too, but okay is very easy to remember. You can use the same thing with week. How's your week? Good. How's your week? Busy. How's your week? Slow. How's your week? All right. How's your week? Okay. You? So very quick, very simple, very straightforward. So again, this is another question you don't need to spend lots of time practicing and giving detailed information about. All of these questions should just be reflex answers. So you should just be able to spit out a real quick response to these and not think about it. So if you can't do that, practice a few of these. Just choose one or two from each group and practice those until you feel comfortable with it. So next time you have a chance to have a conversation, make sure to try these out. So these are some quick responses that you can practice to these common greetings. I hope that it was helpful for you, and I hope that you found something a little bit more natural to use for the next conversation you have. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you know some other responses, or if there are other sorts of things you want to practice responding quickly to, please let us know in the comment section of this video. Of course, if you liked this lesson, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Hafsa. Hi Hafsa. Hafsa says, hi Alicia, what's the difference between chop and slice? Nice question. Chop and slice. So these are two words that we use a lot in the kitchen, but there are other ways that we can apply these verbs as well. So let's first focus on the kitchen use of these two words. We use chop and slice to talk about ways of cutting things. So we use chop to talk about making kind of a rough square. So generally it's a very rough shape. We take a knife and we take a vegetable, for example, we cut this way, and then when we make smaller pieces, we turn the pieces and cut again to make them smaller still. So maybe you chop things to create small squares or to create cubes, or maybe to just create some random shapes and you're not really thinking about it. You just want to cut it smaller. We use chop to describe this. Slice, on the other hand, is used to talk about creating a very thin piece of something with a knife. So when we chop something, we're doing it in kind of many directions usually to make it smaller. But when we slice something, we make just one cut. So we create just one cutting motion, and that creates one piece of the vegetable. So we slice things to make them very thin, or just to keep like a specific kind of shape, maybe a half moon shape, for example, when you're cutting vegetables. So this is the difference in the kitchen between chop and slice. These are both very, very common verbs that we apply in the kitchen. But now let's talk a little bit about how we use these verbs outside the kitchen. First, we can use chop to talk about roughly cutting things with other objects. For example, you might hear the expression somewhere, chop wood. This refers to using an axe, like a knife with a handle on it, to cut pieces of wood. Again, the idea here is that we are roughly cutting the pieces of wood. We're not trying to make a specific shape most of the time, but we're just cutting the wood into smaller pieces. So we use the verb chop to do this, to chop something. You might also hear this motion referred to as a chopping motion. So if we say, for example, like in martial arts, that we want to judo chop someone, you might hear that somewhere. It refers to this motion, kind of making a rough cutting motion to something. So generally, you can think of chop as referring to this rough cutting motion. This is hopefully a helpful guide. Slice, on the other hand, is used in a couple of different ways. So in the earlier example I talked about, we used slice to make one cut and create one piece from something with a knife. So we can use slice in similar ways outside the kitchen as well. You might hear, for example, that someone sliced a body part. So we might use this to talk about using a knife or maybe another very sharp object to cut our skin. Again, the same idea holds true here. The same idea is true, that with one single motion, we cut our skin. You might say, instead of, I cut my arm with a knife, you might say, I sliced my arm with a knife. You might also hear, in this case, slice open, which means, for example, if you cut your arm, you slice your arm by accident, you cut open, meaning the cut creates an opening in the body or in something else. You might also hear cut open like a vegetable or cut open a fruit as well. You might hear slice used in this way too. So we can use slice to talk about this cutting motion to create kind of another piece or two pieces where there were just one before. Another use of slice, though, is not as a verb. It's as a noun. It's as a counting word. So we use slice when we're talking about pizza or cake or bread, for example. When we want to talk about one piece of bread or one piece of cake, we often use the word slice, as in a slice of cake or a slice of pizza. Why is this? Because you can think of the same idea. We use one cutting motion on both sides to create one piece. We use the same word, slice, to refer to that new piece we created
by slicing, yeah? So slice can be used to talk about the cutting motion and to talk about the piece that results from that. We typically use slice, as I said, with cake, pizza, bread, generally things that we can make one cut and create a smaller piece from. So I hope this helps you understand the differences between chop and slice as a verb and as this counter word. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Anshika. Hi, Anshika. Anshika says, hi, Alicia. I want to ask about how we can use could in a sentence and to ask questions. Yeah, nice question, could. So could has a lot of different applications. We can use could in lots of different ways. Let's take a few minutes to review the basic uses of could. The first I want to talk about is using could to give suggestions or to give advice. This is when we are making plans with someone, for example, and you want to suggest something that is possible. You use could to do that. For example, if you're trying to make plans for the weekend, you might say to your friend, we could go to that new restaurant, which means it is possible for us to go to that new restaurant. When presented in this way, it's like a suggestion or a piece of advice, yeah? Your idea. We could go to that restaurant. Or in another example, we could go to the beach this weekend. Again, another piece of advice or a little suggestion. You could see it as one of those two. So could can be used to create suggestions in this way. We can also use could, as you mentioned in your question, to create questions. Like, for example, could you help me with this? Or could you do this? So one common question that comes up here is people say, should I use can here? Should I use could here? Both are correct. Can you help me with this? Could you help me with this? Can you do this? Could you do this for me? Generally, the rule that you can follow is that could is going to sound more polite, a little bit more formal, but both are fine to use in every situation I can think of. We can use can and could at work, at school, with family members, whatever. So we can use could to create these requests. Could you help me with this? Could you do this for me? Could you go to this place for me? These are all valid applications of could here. Where things, I think, kind of tend to get a little bit tricky with could is when we use it for past situations. So for example, what could have been the problem? Why did she make that mistake? So when we use could have been, this kind of pattern, we're referring to a past potential problem in this example. What could have been something, 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 or this could have been something, something, something. These refer to possible past conditions or possible past situations or actions, etc. The key here with could is that it's referring to possibility. And to make it even more tricky, when we use this in the negative, it's referring to something that was not possible. For example, that could not have been the problem means it's not possible that was the problem. Or that could not have been the situation means it's not possible that was the situation. So could is used to refer to possibility in all of these examples that I've just talked about. When you're making a suggestion to your friend, you're saying, this thing is possible. What do you think? When you're making a request to someone else, you're saying, would it be possible or is it possible for you to do this for me? When you're talking about the past, you're saying, this thing was not possible or this thing was possible, right? So all of these uses of could reflect possibility. So again, these are just a few of the uses of could, but the key here is to remember that could is very closely related to possibility or impossibility when you use the negative form. Some of you might ask, like, do I really have to remember that could have been sentence structure? It's so hard for me to use. Why can't I just say it wasn't possible that that was correct? Well, it doesn't sound natural, that's why. When I give you those example sentences, like this sentence means it wasn't possible, I'm explaining it in a different way, but that doesn't mean that that explanation is natural. It sounds much more natural to use those could have been or couldn't have been sentence patterns. That's because that's what we use in everyday conversation and everyday communication. So yes, you should study those. Don't rely on those other sentence patterns because they don't sound natural. They're just there to help you understand what the communication is in the sentence or in the question. So I hope this covers a few uses of could and gives you a good overview of this topic. If you have more questions about how to use could, definitely do a search on our YouTube channel. I have some more videos about this topic there. So I hope that this helps answer your question and gives you a few key pointers to keep in mind. Thanks very much. All right, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Amir. Hi, Amir. Amir says, hi, Alicia. I hope you're having a good day. I wanted to ask, which is the plural of the word fish? Is it fish or fishes? Oh, great question. Yeah, fish or fishes. It's a good question for sure. There are some words in English, some nouns in English, where the singular form with just one and the plural form, two or more, don't change. Fish is an example of this in some cases. So for example, when you're talking about fish like in your home, your pets maybe, you might say, I have one fish. Or if you have more, you would say, I have two fish. I have three fish. You might hear some people say, fishes. It's just kind of a personal preference for them, and some people think it sounds kind of cute. You might also hear fishies, which is extremely cute. I personally love to say that because it sounds very cute. It's just kind of a funny, charming little joke, right? So you might use fish for one fish, two fish as well. You might also hear fishes used by some people, and to be very cute or funny, you might hear people say fishies too. So this is kind of a personal preference sort of thing in these kinds of casual situations where you're talking about your home aquarium or your pets at home. If, however, you are in a polite conversation, generally we do not use fishes or fishies. We generally say one fish, two fish, three fish, and so on. There is one exception to the rule. When we use fish to refer to species of fish, like in a scientific situation. For example, if you are doing research, maybe on the ocean, and you want to talk about many different types of fish you find. You might say, for example, many different fishes live in this area, which refers to many different species of fish. So that means not just one fish, not just a bunch of different fish of the same type, but many different category, perhaps, or many different species of fish. So there's like an orange fish and a blue fish, and they have different characteristics and so on. In these cases, you might see fishes used to refer to those different types of fish, not just more than one. Yeah? So this is the difference between fish, fishes, and even fishies. I hope that this helps you. In everyday conversation, it can be kind of up to you when you're being casual, but if you want to avoid sounding cute or to avoid sounding funny and just want to focus on being correct, please use fish for singular and fish for plural. One fish, two fish, three fish, four fish. There's a very popular kids book from a very popular kids author, an English kids author called Dr. Seuss. He has a rhyme we can use to help us remember this. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. So fish is used for the singular and the plural. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. All right, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending me your great questions. Remember, you can send them to me at englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. You will also find a link for this in the description, so check that out too. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at englishclass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this week's episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again next time. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Amidun Mabaki. Hello Amidun, I hope I said your name right. Amidun says, hi Alicia, my question is, how does the tone of a word change its meaning in English? Great question. Okay, yeah, let's talk about how we use tone in English to communicate things. So some languages, the tone that you use with a word affects the meaning of the word, or maybe even changes the vocabulary word completely. With English, we don't have quite the same way of using tone. We can use tone to affect the meaning of our words, but using tone to change the vocabulary word completely doesn't happen. Rather, we use tone to express our true feelings behind something. This happens a lot when we use something called sarcasm.
So sarcasm is very, very common in American comedy, in everyday speech, and just in life in general, in communication in general, in English. So what is sarcasm? Sarcasm is expressing one idea or opinion, but the true feeling is the opposite of that. So a really simple example of this is when someone says the words, "That's great." You might think, okay, this person thinks the other thing is good, right? But when someone is using sarcasm, they might use a low tone. They might say, "That's great." So in this case, the tone and the words being used don't match, right? This is an example of sarcasm. The speaker uses their tone to communicate their true feelings. They use the vocabulary words, "That's great," to mean this is kind of like the expected reaction, but I want to communicate my true reaction. I will do this with my tone. So I say, "That's great," but I don't actually mean it. That's not my true feeling. So we use tone to do this a lot. So when we don't feel surprised about something or we don't feel happy about something, we might use this use of tone to express that. So some other examples of this might be, let's say for example, a surprise example. When someone is trying to surprise you with something and you already know it's going to happen, you might say, "Wow, I'm so surprised," right? So you show that you're not actually surprised about that thing by using your tone of voice, right? You could say, "Wow, I'm so surprised," or something similar. That shows you're excited, right? Your words match your tone. But if you use sarcasm, your words don't match your tone and you say, "Wow, I'm so surprised," which communicates you are not actually surprised. Why do we do this? This is just a feature of English communication. This is just a way that we communicate that the expectation or the situation maybe doesn't match our true feelings, and we want to communicate that instead of just saying, "I'm not surprised." So this is kind of an indirect way of communicating that, and we use this a lot in humor too. So this is how we use tone in everyday communication, not to change vocabulary words and not to like change the meaning of a sentence so much, but rather to change the nuance of a sentence. So I hope that this answers your question. Thanks very much for an interesting one. Okay, let's move along to our next question. Next question comes from Harry. Hi, Harry. Harry says, "Hi, Alicia. What's the difference between present continuous and future tense? Like, are you coming or will you come?" Okay, yeah, let's do a little grammar breakdown. So present continuous versus a future tense construction like will you. Basically, the difference is in when the decision was made or the strength of the decision, like the level of certainty of the decision. So in a question like, "Are you coming?" it means, in other words, have you decided to come? That's kind of the feeling of this one. If you're talking about a party, for example, on the weekend, and you say, "Are you coming?" to your friend, it's like saying, "Have you decided already before this conversation? Like, do you know right now? Are you going to come?" So that's the feeling. The key difference here is that the present continuous forms, or even going to, are used to refer to things we've decided before the conversation. We're very sure about the decision. We already made a plan, something like that. When we use that will pattern, we're talking about things that kind of arise in the moment. They happen in the moment. So for example, I might say to my friend, "Hey, are you coming to the party this weekend?" Which sounds like we talked about it before, yeah? But a situation where you might hear will used, as in your question, is when the information happens at that moment. Like, "Hey, I'm having a party this weekend. Will you come?" We would use it there because the other person just learned about the party. They just found out about it. I just invited them. "Will you come?" is showing that's happening now, right? I'm asking you to make a decision now. I've asked the question about something that you just found out about. If I said, "Hey, I'm having a party this weekend. Are you going to come?" It sounds kind of like, oh, like you might hear it, but maybe the other person just learned about it. I don't know. I haven't had time to make a decision yet. So you might hear "will you come" used in those kinds of situations. The difference is in the time frame, yeah? So has the person had time to understand the information and make a decision yet or not? As in the second example sentence, the person is getting the information for the very first time, and so the request comes as "will you come?" this is how you might use will you come and are you coming differently. So with plans, you'll tend to hear are you coming more because maybe you invited the person before the conversation, yeah? So this is the difference between present continuous, also going to, and will as well. Let's look at another everyday example of this. Let's imagine two situations where you want to invite someone to dinner. In the first situation, you invited the person maybe earlier in the week, and now you want to follow up. You might say, hey, I'm cooking dinner. Are you eating with us tonight? So that shows the other person has had time to make a decision. Are you eating with us tonight? However, if you want to invite someone in the moment, you might use something like this to do that. Hey, I'm cooking dinner right now. Will you eat with us? That sounds like an invitation that happens in the moment. The person is getting the information in the moment and making a decision in the moment. So this is another example of how you might use continuous and that will future form in different ways. I hope that this answers your question. Thanks very much. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Melissa says, how do we talk about the ways people say things? For example, in books, I see he said or she shouted. Can we choose other verbs to explain how people talk? Thanks. Yeah, great question. Of course. So we practice using say, or maybe she told me, and these kinds of words to talk about how we report speech, yeah? But we can also use other verbs to describe the way that someone expressed something. So in your example, yeah, we have said, which is the neutral form. He said, she said, and so on. And we can also use shouted to mean using a very large voice. And yes, there are other verbs that we can use to talk about the ways that we express our speech. So shout is another one. Scream or yell, whisper, mumble. These are all verbs that we can use to talk about the way people talk. So what do these all mean? So we talked about shouted, using a big voice. Yell and shout really have the same idea behind them. Shout is used for typically like a quick burst of sound, maybe like ah, like when you're surprised or something. We use yell typically for like a long phrase or maybe a sentence someone says very loudly, like if your boss gets really angry about something, they might yell. So if somebody gets really angry and says, I can't believe you messed this up, it might say he yelled in a book. You might also hear shouted, it kind of depends on the person. You might also hear screamed, or you might see screamed in a book. To scream uses that really, really high register, that really, really high vocal sound when we are afraid usually. So like in a horror movie, when a woman is afraid, she might scream. It's that ah! I don't want to shout in the studio. I don't want to make a big sound in the studio and scare people. But to scream is like that feeling of terror. So you might hear that and see that in books. On the other end, you might also see mumbled and whispered used to talk about the ways that people talk. So to whisper refers to this. This is whispering. She whispered. So whispering. That's when you talk very, very low. You're not really using your vocal cords in the same way. That's whispering. And mumbling is speaking very low and not clearly. So here's an example. I'm mumbling right now. You can't really hear me very clearly, can you? I don't think you can hear me, right? So when you mumble, I said, I'm mumbling right now. You can't really hear me very clearly, can you? So when we mumble, we don't speak clearly and we speak in a very small voice. So these are all words that we can use to report people's speech. Yes, you'll see this used in books and in maybe magazine articles, in other short stories perhaps. Basically, we use these in writing and we can also use them in speech to be specific about the way a person communicated. So I hope that this answers your question. Thanks very much for an interesting one. Okay, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you as always for sending your great questions. Remember, you can send them to me at EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. There's also a link in the description for you to check out as well. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this week's episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again soon. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Mohammed. Hi Mohammed. Mohammed says, hey Alicia, do you have any tips for remembering vocabulary words that you don't use very often? I'm learning new words through reading and watching TV and movies, but I can't remember the words very well. What should I do? Nice question. Yeah. So those words that you pick up like one time from a book or from a movie or something like that, and you think, oh, that's an interesting word. I should try to remember that word. Maybe I'll need it for the future. How do you remember those? Because it's like, oh, I only needed it this one time so far. It's really tough for sure. Here are a couple of ideas. Hopefully one of them will help you to kind of keep these words in your mind. First, if you use flashcards, put that word in your flashcard deck. So if you find a new word in your book, the book that you're reading, or if you find a new word in a podcast or movie, whatever, if you use flashcards, if you have like online flashcards, if you use physical flashcards, take 5 seconds and put that in your flashcard deck so that you have that in your review pile, or so that you know that you're going to review that word in the future. That can be one really good way to immediately put it into your study queue or your study lineup. So if you use flashcards, physical or digital, you can do that. Second, you can keep a list of vocabulary words in like a notebook or maybe on your phone, and a list in your phone, and you can pull that up every once in a while to look at that if you like. So maybe that can work for some people. Third is, of course, to just review the thing that you found the word in. So if you found the word in a book, you can review that book again, and you can look at that topic again and kind of try to remember the word through context. That's another way. Or with TV and movies, make sure you come back to that and review it again in context that way. That's another thing that you can do. A fourth thing that you can do is try creating things with that new vocabulary word. So when you pick up a new vocabulary word, try to make a sentence with it. So maybe you have a journal or something like that, and you try to make a sentence that uses that new word. So you try to apply it right away. So this can kind of help you to get it in your head and thinking about how you can use that word instead of just seeing that word in another context. I tend to like to use this strategy. I try to use the new vocabulary words that I find, like in books usually, and I try to make sentences with those. I try to look at that and see how I can use it in my own words. And then I tend to review those sentences. Sometimes I'm not super great about it, but I keep a notebook so I can at least go back in the pages and see the words that I've learned. So those are 4 tips that I hope can help you to remember those vocabulary words that you maybe just hear 1 time or 2 times that are kind of hard to remember. So I hope that one of those strategies will work for you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Raul. Hi Raul. Raul says, hi Alicia, I want to ask if English has a formal way of speaking. Some languages have a polite style grammar to use when speaking to older people or at work. Does English have this? For example, in business English? Thanks. Nice question. So when we talk about like a formal way of speaking, we don't have like a specific kind of grammar that we use. No, English doesn't follow like a specific grammar rule to make things more formal. Instead, what we do with English is we use vocabulary words and we have set phrases that sound more formal or more polite. So it's not that we follow a certain grammar rule or like a manner of speaking in that sense. Rather, we make choices with our vocabulary words that sound more formal or that sound more business-like. So for example, when we apologize in a casual situation, we would say, I'm sorry, right? Or I'm very sorry, right? When we apologize to someone we're close to. But in a business situation, when you need to say, I'm sorry, you probably won't say, I'm sorry, because it sounds too casual. Instead, you would probably say, I apologize, or I deeply apologize, or we sincerely apologize for the mistake. So these are not grammar choices, but rather these are vocabulary choices and set phrases that we use to elevate our sentences, which means to make the level higher, yeah? So I'm sorry, it's great. It totally communicates everything perfectly. And so does I apologize, right? But one sounds more formal than the other. So in this way, English makes distinctions, or we can find the different levels of English. So vocabulary is what really matters here. Okay, so let's look at another example of this. When you want to make a request from someone, like you want to have a meeting with them, for example, or meet up with them, in a casual situation, you might say to a friend or family member, hey, are you free tomorrow? So it's a very quick, easy sentence, yeah? But in a business situation or work situation or other formal situation, if you say, hey, are you free tomorrow? No good. It sounds way too casual and it sounds like you don't care that much, right? It's too close. In a business situation, you might say something like, would you be free tomorrow at about 3 p.m.? Or if it's a more open-ended situation, you might say, could I have a moment of your time? Like if you want to ask someone for time right at that moment. So using these kinds of expressions is what creates formality. It's what creates that level of politeness. So would it be possible to is a really common kind of formal pattern that we use. Would it be possible for you to look at this? Would it be possible for you to attend? Would it be possible for you to blah, blah, blah? So the verb comes at the end of that. Would it be possible for you to verb? In a casual setting, we would just say, can you verb? Like, can you do this? Can you look at this? But would it be possible to? So these kinds of set phrases and vocabulary choices really make your speech sound more formal or more polite. And this is also why it's very important to keep in mind the level of formality of vocabulary words when you're using them. Because if you learn a kind of more formal or business-like vocabulary word and you use it in a casual situation because you want to sound polite, it's going to sound really unnatural. Like if you say to your friend, would it be possible for you to meet me for coffee at 3 p.m. tomorrow? It's going to sound funny because it sounds way too formal. You can use it if you want to sound like you're silly, if you want to make a joke or something like that, but it's going to sound weird. So that's why it's really important to know the differences in formality levels so that you can make sure you express yourself naturally and appropriately, yeah? So I hope that this answers your question. Thanks very much for a super interesting one. Okay, great. Let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Handsome. Hi, Handsome. Handsome says, when do you use to had or even 3 had in a row? Great question. Yeah, I think this is in reference to past perfect tense. So had is used in a number of different ways, but there are some grammar patterns where we see had in a row like this, and this confuses people. So why does this happen? This happens because the past perfect tense requires that we use had plus the past participle form of a verb. So the first had is that helping verb, had, in the past perfect grammar structure, and then the second had is the past participle form of the verb have. So I had had way too much to eat for dinner, or he had had too much to drink that night. So these sentences are 100% correct. You might look at it and think, is that really okay to use had 2 times in a row? Regarding the second part of your question about using 3 hads or 4 hads or more, something like that, it's very rare to see a sentence that has 3 hads in a row, but here's one example and a breakdown of what's happening here. All the food that she had a negative effect on her stomach. So what is happening here? First, let's take a quick step back and remember that we use past perfect tense and simple past tense to show a sequence of actions. We use past perfect tense to show that a past action happened before another past action. The other past action, the one that happened closer to the present, is used in simple past tense. We use simple past tense to express that. So in this example sentence, all the food that she had a negative effect on her stomach. This means all the food that she had, so this is the past perfect structure. The first had is the helping verb, had. The second had is the verb have in the past participle form. All the food that she had, that's our past situation or our past condition, yeah? This thing happened first. Then the second part, had a negative effect on her stomach. This had is the simple past tense had. We know this because this is the action that happened after the first action. So all the food that she had a negative effect on her stomach. This sentence is grammatically correct. But again, it's quite rare, so you probably won't see this very often. But I hope that this helps you understand the differences between had and had. Thanks very much for an interesting question. All right, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending your great questions. Remember, you can send them to me at EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. There's also a link to this in the description, so you can check that out too. If you haven't already, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well. If you want to check out more information and more resources to help you with your English studies, also make sure to check us out at EnglishClass101.com. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again next time. Bye!
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your English listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
A woman is talking to a post office employee. How is she going to send her package? Hi, I'd like to send this package to Germany.
Okay, would you like to be able to track this package?
Yes, there are a few things inside that are very important.
All right, in that case, you can send it by the express mail service or economy air mail. Which one would you like to use?
Is the express mail service more expensive?
Yes, usually it is, but sometimes it depends on the weight. Let me check. I'm really sorry, but this one is over 20 pounds, so it can only be shipped by standard mail. Both the express mail service and the economy air mail have a limit of 20 pounds. Can you divide this package into two? If so, then the economy air mail will be cheaper, but it will also take longer.
Oh, okay.
The cheapest and easiest option would be to take something out of this package so it's under 20 pounds and then just send it as one.
Okay, so I'll take out this and this.
Oh, then it should be fine.
Great. How is she going to send her package? A woman is talking to a post office employee. How is she going to send her package? Hi, I'd like to send this package to Germany.
Okay, would you like to be able to track this package?
Yes, there are a few things inside that are very important.
All right, in that case, you can send it by the express mail service or economy air mail. Which one would you like to use?
Is the express mail service more expensive?
Yes, usually it is, but sometimes it depends on the weight. Let me check. I'm really sorry, but this one is over 20 pounds, so it can only be shipped by standard mail. Both the express mail service and the economy air mail have a limit of 20 pounds. Can you divide this package into two? If so, then the economy air mail will be cheaper, but it will also take longer.
Oh, okay.
The cheapest and easiest option would be to take something out of this package so it's under 20 pounds and then just send it as one.
Okay, so I'll take out this and this.
Oh, then it should be fine.
Great.
How are your English listening skills? First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
A woman is talking to a waiter. Where is she going to sit?
Welcome to Annie's. How many people?
4, but 2 of them will be coming later.
I'm really sorry, but we're really busy right now. Would you mind sitting outside?
It's a bit cold today. What if we wait a little?
I think that table near the piano will be free in a few minutes.
We wanted to be able to talk, so maybe it would be better if we sat further away from the piano.
Okay, no problem. How about this one on the left side of the counter? It's a little bit small, but I'll bring over one more chair so 4 people can sit there.
It is quite small. How about that one near the restrooms?
I'm sorry, that one is reserved.
Okay, well, there are only 2 of us for now, so we'll just wait by the counter.
Okay, the reservation for that table was just canceled. If you'd like to sit there, it's open.
Oh, yes, please. Where is she going to sit? A woman is talking to a waiter. Where is she going to sit?
Welcome to Annie's. How many people?
4, but 2 of them will be coming later.
I'm really sorry, but we're really busy right now. Would you mind sitting outside?
It's a bit cold today. What if we wait a little?
I think that table near the piano will be free in a few minutes.
We wanted to be able to talk, so maybe it would be better if we sat further away from the piano.
Okay, no problem. How about this one on the left side of the counter? It's a little bit small, but I'll bring over one more chair so 4 people can sit there.
It is quite small. How about that one near the restrooms?
I'm sorry, that one is reserved.
Okay, well, there are only 2 of us for now, so we'll just wait by the counter.
Okay, the reservation for that table was just canceled. If you'd like to sit there, it's open.
Oh, yes, please.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to create long-lasting habits for language learning. Our lives are governed by routines and habits, and a lot of the time we're doing things out of habit without having to think or motivate ourselves. So what if you could do the same for language learning? You can easily slide in, start learning without needing to push yourself. If you could, you'd succeed with the language. And that's why today you'll discover 1. How habits work, 2. Tricks for creating strong habits for language learning, and 3. How to create your own habits. How to create long-lasting habits for language learning. Part 1. Tricks for creating strong habits for language learning. Is language learning a habit for you? If not, then you've probably tried and struggled with creating that habit. Why? If you think about it, the way our behavior works is, if you get a good result or reward, you do it again. And if you get punished or if you don't see a good result, you tend not to do it again. So we're all kind of wired to want results, to stay motivated or see progress. But with long-term goals like language learning or fitness, for example, it takes that time to see some results. So it's understandable why it's hard for learners to make language learning a habit. You can come up with a nice routine on paper, but if you can't physically stick with it, it's kind of useless. The trick is to keep going until it becomes a habit. So what should you do to create a habit? Well, there are a few tricks for that. First, set a specific time and location dedicated to learning language. That could be your house, a cafe, or on the train. The reason you should start with time and location is because many of our habits are ruled by time and location. If it's 8 p.m., we know it's dinner time. If it's midnight, it's time to brush your teeth. And if you're at the office, a location, it's time to work. And if you're at a gym, it's time to work out. So by doing this, you give yourself a plan to work from. If it's 8 p.m., you automatically know to learn language in the set place. The second tip is similar to the first. Create an environment that's good for language learning, where it's easy for you to learn. As mentioned earlier, location can set the theme of your behavior and habit. If you're in a library, you're more likely to read. If you're at the gym, you're more likely to work out. So you can turn a room or a corner of a room into a learning space where you can easily pop in and start learning without getting distracted by TV, your phone, or a pile of clothes on your couch. Again, your environment can make it easy to stick with habits, or it can break your habits. For example, if you want to work out, if you had a gym on the first floor of your building, it'd be much easier to go, right? But if it was 5 blocks away, then it's out of your immediate environment and not as easy to get to. Similarly, if you decide to learn a language on the couch and next to your TV, it won't work out as well because your environment isn't suited to learning. You'd want a place with no external distractions. The third thing you can do is piggybacking or habit stacking. In other words, combining a habit that you already have with a new one that you want to have. So take a look at your existing habits and routines throughout the day. For example, let's say you commute to work or school for 30 minutes. If you can multitask while doing this, then this is a great place to squeeze in language learning. If you eat lunch at 1 p.m., you can piggyback on top of this routine and listen to our audio lessons. And there's a good chance it will stick because you're piggybacking on top of an existing habit that you have no problem sticking with. The fourth tip is called the 2-minute rule. In other words, just learn a language for 2 minutes and then walk away. The whole point here is to master the habit of showing up and learning. 2 minutes isn't enough to make progress, but for a beginner who doesn't have good habits to start with, this is more than enough. It's enough to build a habit. Remember, with habits, it's not about how many hours you put in right now, it's how many times you've done it, the frequency. So someone that did 100 2-minute lessons for 2 weeks will have a much stronger habit than someone that learned for 1 hour a day for 2 weeks and wore themselves out. The fifth tip is to track your habits, and it's something you can do with a calendar, where you cross the days on a calendar every time you learn your target language. Having that habit tracker does 2 things. First, it keeps the habit on top of your mind, and second, it gives you that reward or result. So if you're consistent, you have the visual proof right in front of you. If you're not, well, at least now you know your progress. Now, how long does it take to form a habit? Some say 21 days, and then there are studies that say 2 months on average. But remember, the most important part, again, is frequency. The current habits you have, you've done them hundreds and hundreds of times, which is what makes them automatic. So if anything, you'll want to aim for frequency instead of a specific number of days. Now, what about you? How can you apply these tips? Let's get into part 2. Part 2, recap on how to create your own habits. As you already know, our lives are governed by routines and habits, and a lot of the time, we're doing things out of habit without having to think or motivate ourselves. Now, imagine if you could do that for language learning, where you can easily slide in and start learning without needing to push yourself. That's where habits come in. Habits start with a cue, which is an outside signal. For example, it's 8 p.m., or you smell some food at 8 p.m. Then a craving. If you eat dinner at 8 p.m., you'll start wanting to eat. Then the response, you eat. And then the reward, you feel satisfied. But building habits is tricky, especially when there's no instant reward. And there's no instant reward with language learning. We're wired more so for instant rewards. So what can you do? Here's a quick recap with examples for you to do. First, set a time and location. This one depends on you and how much free time you have. But keep it simple and don't aim high. For example, 8 p.m. to 8:10 p.m. at home, or 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the cafe every Saturday or Sunday. And the reason is that, again, time and location are powerful cues for our behavior. There's a certain time we sleep, eat, do work, and there are places where we work. And so if you want to build a habit, start here first. Second, create an environment that makes language learning easy. You can turn a room or a corner of a room into a learning space, where you don't have any distractions in the way and where it's easy to start learning. And if your home isn't the best place, then try a cafe. The whole point is to make learning easier to jump into. Third, piggyback on your existing routines and habits. In other words, combine language learning with the routine that you already do, like commuting to work, doing chores, or taking a walk. That way, your brain automatically starts associating your commute time as language time, and you can easily do a lesson without having to push and motivate yourself. So map out your daily schedule from morning to night and make it detailed. 8 a.m. wake up, 8:30 a.m. breakfast, commute at 9 a.m., arrive at work at 9:30 a.m., lunch at 1 p.m., and so on. Then look where you can multitask and stick language learning in. Fourth, use the 2-minute rule, meaning if you want to create a habit, do it only for 2 minutes and immediately walk away after. The whole point is to build the habit of showing up to language learning, and you don't need to put in hours there. It's all about how many times you've shown up, not the actual hours you've studied. And you can easily learn with our lessons or the word of the day emails. Fifth, track your habits and don't skip 2 days in a row. If you can track and measure something, that means you can also improve it. And the same applies to language learning. You can do this with a calendar, a productivity app, or a simple notebook. If you see that you were able to stick with learning for a week, you're more likely to keep at it without breaking the chain. Sixth, surround yourself with other language learners or get a language teacher. Like the environment, people also have a big impact on your habits. So if you're a Premium Plus user, be sure to take advantage of the teachers available in our program. Or you can sign up for live classes. Our next semester opens up in September for Japanese, Korean, Spanish, French, Chinese, Italian, German, and English. Now that you know how to create habits, leave a comment and tell us which trick you want to apply. You don't have to use them all, but pick at least one. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about tipping points, the secret signposts of language progress and success. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! Want to speak more of your target language? Then you'll need to know more words and phrases. Except the problem is, memorizing word lists is painful and boring. But the good news is you don't have to memorize for hours to boost your vocabulary and speak more. You can glance through our printable visual flashcards and easily master over 1,500 of the most common words. How to learn the 1,500 most common words with visual flashcards. And in this guide, you'll discover 1. How to get free access to visual flashcards, 2. How to learn words easily without painful memorization, and 3. Why these flashcards help you acquire words faster than typical word lists or digital flashcards. But first, if you're not a member of our language learning system, which gives you free access to this special resource, then be sure to sign up for a free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account right now. First, what are visual flashcards? Visual flashcards are printable, illustrated flashcards that teach you over 1,500 of the most common words across 60 topics. Just download the PDFs, print them out in two-sided format, cut out the flashcards, and start learning. Now, how can you learn words fast with these flashcards? The best way to learn anything is not to cram or memorize for hours a day, but to go through and review the words for just a few minutes a day, every day. That repetition is what locks the language into your memory, and eventually you'll get used to the words like it's your own native language. Also, all flashcards include an image for each word, so your brain can easily create a connection between the image and the word and help you remember it better, instead of just relying on text, as is the case with most digital flashcards and word lists. Third, here's how you learn with the visual flashcards. After printing and cutting them out, you can go through the cards and review them for just a few minutes a day. Also, be sure to read the words out loud for speaking practice. You can also test yourself by looking at the meaning and trying to recall the word in the target language. If you don't remember, just flip the card over to get the answer. You can also have a friend test you. And you can place the cards on the objects they represent around your home. So for the card for the window, you can tape that to the window, and you'll quickly memorize the word after seeing it a few times. So if you want to speak more of your target language and add over 1,500 words to your vocabulary, download our printable visual flashcards right now for free. Just click the link in the description to sign up for a free lifetime account and get free access. If you're a beginner language learner, you've probably already realized just how many words there are that you need to learn, and you already feel overwhelmed by that thought alone. How is it possible to learn thousands of words when you can't remember the few words you learned last week? Well, the good news is, if you're a beginner, you don't need to know thousands to start speaking the language. How to learn the 100 most common words on loop. In this guide, you'll discover 1. Why 100 words is all you need as a beginner, and 2. How to master these 100 words without painful memorization with our free study tools. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. First, why are 100 words all you need as a beginner? Because overwhelming yourself with 1,000 words is not a good way to learn. And because of something called the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle. This states that 80% of your progress and results will come from just 20% of what you've done, meaning you'll get the best results from focusing on a few things instead of trying to do everything. In the case of language, learning the top 100 words helps you understand a lot of the language. So instead of overwhelming yourself by learning all the words, many of which you won't hear in daily conversations, you'll get much better results by focusing on the top 100 words, like you, this, that, today, Friday, and so on. And you can easily learn 100 words in a month if you learn around 3 to 4 words a day every day. In month 2, you can learn 100 more and slowly build your way up. Second, how can you do this? You can learn the 100 most common words with our learning system. When you join, just look for the vocabulary menu and click on 100 most common words in the drop-down menu. This study tool is 100% free for all members. For each word, you get a picture, the audio pronunciation, and an example sentence. You can simply review this list for a few minutes a day. Write the words out in a notebook, or you can use our slideshow tool and master these words without painful memorization. Just click on View Slideshow and sit back and follow along. The slideshow will play one word after the other, along with the audio pronunciation, the meaning, the image, and the example sentence. You can also set it to play the target language only, without the translations. And even better, if you set the slideshow to play on loop, you can keep the words playing non-stop until they're stuck in your brain. Just imagine, you could spend a few days listening to the words on loop, master them all without hard work, and speak a lot of your target language. So, if you want to master the 100 most common words with our free word list and slideshow tool, then sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. You want to learn and speak the language, and you know that you need to learn more words so you can speak more, except memorizing words is boring and painful work. But what if you could skip that hard work and quickly review words in minutes a day and actually remember them in the long run? Keep watching. How to learn words fast without forced memorization. In this guide, you'll discover one proven tactic for learning words, which is much easier than brute memorization. 2, why you'll actually remember what you've learned. And 3, how to pick up hundreds of new words every month with one tool that all serious language learners love. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. So, what's the best way to learn words if you want to avoid the hard work of memorization? It's called spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is where you see a word today, then you see it again tomorrow, then in a few days, and so on, so that your learning gets spaced out over time. Spaced repetition learning is backed by science and helps you actually remember words, because first, you need repetition to learn anything. And second, you need to space out the learning over time, because your brain remembers better every time you come back to review. And that's something that won't happen if you spend hours cramming today only, which is also why you forget everything after a test that you've crammed for. So, how can you take advantage of this learning method to learn more words? Well, there's a study tool that all serious language learners love. It's called Spaced Repetition Flashcards. And you can find our flashcards in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site. Inside, you already have the 100 must-know words deck prepared for you, so you can jump in and start learning right away. You can also make flashcard decks from words and phrases presented in our lessons, the 2000 core word list, words saved in your workbank, and our free vocab list. Just click on Study and Start Session to start learning. Third, once you start, the flashcards track your progress and sort your cards for you. So the tough words that you struggle with, you'll see them more often in a study session. And the easy words that you get right, they'll start getting spaced out. You'll see them again in 2 days, then 5 days, then 13 days, and so on. At which point, these words will start going into your long-term memory, and you'll never forget them. Once you're done with the study session, that's it for the day. And all of this takes just a few minutes. Then your flashcards will remind you when to study again and start introducing new words while spacing out the ones you already know. And that way you can easily master hundreds of words a month just by quickly reviewing words for a few minutes a day without the hard work of memorization. So take advantage of our flashcards right now. But if you don't yet have access to our learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.